You know that feeling, right? When you're with someone and everything seems fine on the surface, good conversation, maybe even some sparks, but then one day she just drifts away. No big fight, no dramatic ending, just a quiet fade into silence. And you're left staring at your phone thinking, what did I miss? What wasn't I giving her? What if I told you the problem wasn't a lack of effort or charm or even affection? What if the real issue was that you were speaking the wrong emotional language entirely? For years, I sat with men in my practice, brilliant, successful men who were utterly bewildered. They'd say, I took her on great dates, I was consistent, I told her how beautiful she was, and it still just fizzled. And for years, I watched incredibly smart, capable women leave these good men, not for someone better looking or richer, but for a feeling they couldn't even fully articulate. They'd just say, I just felt differently with him. That difference, that invisible shift, is what we're pulling apart today. Because after decades of listening to these stories, a pattern emerged so clear it became impossible to ignore. Female psychology, when it comes to deep, lasting attachment, operates on a specific emotional frequency. And there are two core feelings, when consistently present, that don't just create liking, they create a quiet, powerful sense of addiction. An addiction not to drama, but to a profound sense of rightness. This isn't about manipulation or playing games. This is about understanding the architecture of the human heart and mind. So, let's clear the deck of everything you think you know. Most advice out there talks about building attraction. And sure, attraction is the spark. But attachment? That's the gravity. Attraction might make her look at you, but attachment is what makes her stay when things get hard. What makes her choose you when other options appear? What makes her feel, on a level deeper than logic, that walking away would be a loss she can't quite afford? And this gravity is built on a foundation most men never see because they're too busy performing. They're trying to be the confident guy, the funny guy, the provider. But here's the psychological truth she can't tell you, because often she doesn't even consciously know it herself. Her attachment to you has less to do with how she feels about you, and everything to do with how she feels about herself when she's with you. Read that again. Let it settle. Your presence becomes a mirror. And what she sees reflected in that mirror, her sense of safety, her sense of worth, her sense of excitement, determines everything. When you get this right, you're no longer just another guy she likes. You become the emotional environment her nervous system learns to crave. And the human brain is wired to return again and again to what regulates it, to what makes it feel whole and alive. The journey to that point is built on two pillars. Miss one, and the structure is weak. Master both, and you create something undeniable. Let's start with the first feeling, the one that builds the foundation for everything else. I call it the sanctuary and the spark, emotional safety, paired with intrigue. Now hear me out, because most men misunderstand emotional safety. They hear it and picture something boring, predictable, almost neutered, like being a comfortable couch. That is a fatal error. Emotional safety does not mean being bland. It means being a harbor in a storm. It means she can bring you her unedited, unfiltered self, the worries she tells no one else, the silly laugh she hides in public, the vulnerable dream she's almost embarrassed to share, and know with certainty that she will be met not with judgment but with acceptance, maybe even admiration. When you do this, you perform a kind of neurological magic. You lower her cortisol, the stress hormone. You signal to her primal brain, you are safe here, your guard can come down. In that space of lowered defense, something beautiful happens. Real connection can take root. Her mind begins to anchor you to feelings of relief, trust, and deep calm. These states are, in their own right, subtly addictive. The brain loves to return to them. But here is the critical, non-negotiable twist. Safety alone is not enough. Safety without intrigue becomes predictable. Predictable becomes familiar. Familiar becomes invisible. This is where so many wonderful, kind men lose. They create the safety of a cozy library, but forget to add the mystery of a hidden door in the back. Intrigue is the spark that lives in the space of the unknown. It's not about being a manipulative mystery man. It's about having a genuine interior world, passions, goals, a quiet confidence that exists independently of her. It's the subtle unpredictability in your positive actions, the spontaneous adventure, the hint of a past story that suggests depth, the playful challenge that shows strength without aggression. It's your independence, respectfully maintained. When you masterfully blend these two, when she feels utterly safe to be her true self, while being genuinely curious about the depths of you, you trigger a potent neurological cocktail. Her brain lights up in a unique pattern. It experiences the soothing balm of safety and the exciting dopamine hit of intrigue simultaneously. You become, in her nervous system, both the sanctuary and the spark, the calm and the storm. This duality is hypnotic. It creates a low-grade, pleasant tension that her mind will seek to resolve by thinking about you, wondering about you, wanting to be near you. It's the reason why superficial push and pull tactics sometimes work on a surface level. They crudely mimic this contrast. But when it's authentic, when it flows from who you genuinely are, a man who is both deeply grounded and intriguingly layered, it doesn't feel like a game. It feels like destiny. Her subconscious starts to whisper, "Here, I can rest, and here I can also truly live." That is the first pillar. Powerful, right? But it is only half the story, because this creates a bond that is deeply comforting and attractive. Yet there is another layer, a deeper current, that transforms that bond into something she will cling to, even against her own better judgment sometimes. This is the feeling that turns "I like being with you" into "I feel fundamentally different without you." This brings us to the second and even more potent feeling. The mirror of worth, profound emotional validation. This is where 99% of men, even well-meaning ones, completely miss the mark. We mistake validation for compliments. We think saying "you're beautiful" or "you're smart" is the key, and while those are nice, they are surface level. They decorate the exterior. They don't touch the core. What a woman truly craves, what every human craves if we're honest, is to feel seen, not just noticed, but comprehended, to have her essence witnessed and reflected back to her in a way that amplifies her own sense of self-worth. It's the difference between telling a painter, "nice painting," and standing before her work, absorbing it, and saying, "The way you used light here makes me feel such a deep sense of hope." You have a unique way of translating emotion onto the canvas. One is a pleasant remark. The other is a validation that touches her identity. When you validate her on the level of her being, her resilience in a hard time, her humor in a tense moment, her intelligence in solving a problem, the passion behind her convictions, you do something extraordinary. You become the lens through which she sees her own best self more clearly. Psychologically, this is a masterstroke. Her brain begins to make a subconscious connection. When I am with him, I feel more myself, more capable, more vivid, more right. You become a source of her own emotional and identity reinforcement. The joy, the confidence, the clarity she feels in your presence starts to become associated with you. The mind is a pattern-seeking machine, and it becomes addicted to patterns that make us feel complete, understood, and significant. This is not about creating dependency in an unhealthy way. It's about creating interdependence. You are providing the reflection that helps her connect with her own strength and beauty. And in turn, her authenticity fuels the connection. It becomes a virtuous cycle. She shares more of her true self, you validate the core of that self, she feels safer and more intrigued by you, and the bond deepens exponentially. Now imagine combining these two forces. Imagine being the man who provides both the sanctuary and the spark and the mirror of worth. You are the haven where she feels protected and the adventure that makes her feel alive. You are the quiet space where she feels accepted and the mirror that shows her just how remarkable she is. In your presence, her nervous system regulates. Her self-concept elevates. This combination doesn't feel like a tactic. It feels like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of connection. The addiction formed here isn't to chaos or drama. It's to a profound sense of emotional homeostasis and growth. Walking away from that doesn't feel like leaving a person. It feels like abandoning a better version of herself and a fundamental source of peace. The cost of leaving becomes neurologically and psychologically too high. But understanding the theory is only step one. The bridge between knowing and doing is built with specific, actionable behaviors, and just as importantly, by avoiding the silent killers that shatter this fragile construction. Let's talk about the practices first. How do you become this man in real daily interactions? It starts with active, attuned listening. This is the bedrock of safety. When she speaks, your entire focus is on her, not on formulating your next witty response, not on your phone, but on the cadence of her voice, the emotion in her eyes, the meaning behind her words. You listen to understand her world, not just to hear her story. And then you reflect it back. You say, "That sounds incredibly frustrating. I can hear how much you cared about making that work." Or, "The joy on your face right now telling that story is amazing. This simple act screams, 'You are safe here. I see you.'" Psychologically, this is a masterstroke. Her brain begins to make a subconscious connection. When I am with him, I feel more myself, more capable, more vivid, more right. You become a source of her own emotional and identity reinforcement. The joy, the confidence, the clarity she feels in your presence starts to become associated with you. The mind is a pattern-seeking machine, and it becomes addicted to patterns that make us feel complete, understood, and significant. This is not about creating dependency in an unhealthy way. It's about creating interdependence. You are providing the reflection that helps her connect with her own strength and beauty. And in turn, her authenticity fuels the connection. It becomes a virtuous cycle. She shares more of her true self, you validate the core of that self, she feels safer and more intrigued by you, and the bond deepens exponentially. Now imagine combining these two forces. Imagine being the man who provides both the sanctuary and the spark and the mirror of worth. You are the haven where she feels protected and the adventure that makes her feel alive. You are the quiet space where she feels accepted and the mirror that shows her just how remarkable she is. In your presence, her nervous system regulates. Her self-concept elevates. This combination doesn't feel like a tactic. It feels like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of connection. The addiction formed here isn't to chaos or drama. It's to a profound sense of emotional homeostasis and growth. Walking away from that doesn't feel like leaving a person. It feels like abandoning a better version of herself and a fundamental source of peace. The cost of leaving becomes neurologically and psychologically too high. But understanding the theory is only step one. The bridge between knowing and doing is built with specific, actionable behaviors. And just as importantly, by avoiding the silent killers that shatter this fragile construction. Let's talk about the practices first. How do you become this man in real daily interactions? It starts with active, attuned listening. This is the bedrock of safety. When she speaks, your entire focus is on her, not on formulating your next witty response, not on your phone, but on the cadence of her voice, the emotion in her eyes, the meaning behind her words. You listen to understand her world, not just to hear her story. And then you reflect it back. You say, "That sounds incredibly frustrating. I can hear how much you cared about making that work." Or, "The joy on your face right now telling that story is amazing. This simple act screams, 'You are safe here. I see you.'" Next, you must cultivate authentic intrigue. This means having a life that is compelling to you. Pursue your goals with passion. Maintain your friendships and hobbies. Have opinions and curiosities. You don't need to be secretive. You just need to be a man of substance. Share your journey, your small victories and setbacks, in a way that is open but not overshared. Let her discover you in layers. This provides the positive unpredictability, the spark that keeps the emotional contrast alive. Then practice the art of essence-based validation. When she shares, look past the event to the character trait it reveals. Did she handle a difficult colleague with grace? Acknowledge her diplomacy and patience. Did she tell a funny story about a childhood failure? Highlight her resilience and ability to laugh at herself. Say, "I'm really impressed by how you navigate those situations. It takes a strong mind." Or, "I love that story. It shows you've always had that fiery spirit." You are validating not what she does, but who she is. Finally, master rhythmic consistency. This is where the addiction loop is wired. The safety, the intrigue, the validation. They must be delivered not in one grand dramatic gesture, but in small, consistent doses over time. A thoughtful text here, a moment of deep attention there, a spontaneous idea for next weekend. This rhythmic, reliable, positive reinforcement teaches her brain what to expect from you: reward, comfort, and excitement. It becomes a habit her mind doesn't want to break. However, even as you build, you must be aware of the landmines, the 5 silent killers of emotional attachment that undo all your good work overnight. Killer number 1, inconsistent emotional temperature. One day you're engaged and warm, the next you're distant and cold. This isn't intrigue, this is anxiety-inducing unpredictability. It destroys safety at its root. Her brain cannot attach to a moving target. Killer Shack 2, the flood of overinvestment. Giving too much too soon, constant texting, over-the-top gifts, declaring your feelings early. This smothers the spark of intrigue. It removes all tension and mystery, making you predictable and lowering your perceived value. Attachment requires pacing, like a good story needs pacing. Killer number 3, coercive energy. Neediness, guilt-tripping, or pressuring for commitment. Any hint that your validation or safety is conditional on her behaving a certain way will trigger a deep subconscious recoil. True attachment must be felt as a free choice, not an obligation. Killer number 4, the superficial mirror. Giving generic compliments or responding only to the surface of her words. If you say you're amazing but never specify why in a way that touches her core, she feels unseen. The validation feels hollow, and the mirror you hold up is foggy and worthless. Killer number 5, performance over presence, relying solely on charm, humor, or grand gestures while failing to provide the steady, quiet emotional safety and deep validation. She will enjoy the show, but she will never bond with the performer. The attachment forms in the silent, in-between moments of true presence, not the spotlight. If you can weave together the consistent practices and deftly avoid these killers, you initiate a powerful process. You're no longer just a man she's dating. You become the architect of an emotional experience so resonant, so uniquely rewarding, that her own psychology becomes your ally. We enter the final stage, the triggers and the solidification. These are the subtle, almost subconscious mechanisms that lock in the feelings you've built. The first is emotional contrast, which we've touched on. Her mind is a pattern detection supercomputer. The deliberate, gentle swing between the warm safety of acceptance and the cool, exciting breeze of your independence creates a pattern it can't ignore. It's the rhythm that her heart starts to beat to. The second is mirrored significance. This goes beyond validation. It's when she realizes that her thoughts, her feelings, her very perspective have actually changed you, that you remember the small things, that an opinion she shared months ago influenced your own, that you see the world a little differently because of her. This makes her feel existentially significant to your life, which is the ultimate bond. The third is anticipatory pleasure. Her nervous system begins to learn that interactions with you are reliably rewarding. Before she even sees you, her brain starts to anticipate the good feelings, the laughter, the deep conversations, the sense of being valued. This anticipation is a powerful pull, a magnetic force drawing her back. When this foundation is set, solidifying it is about ritual and depth. It's the inside jokes that become your language. It's the way you make coffee for each other in the morning without asking. It's knowing how to comfort her when she's stressed in the specific way that works for her. It's continuing to share your own vulnerabilities and dreams, deepening the mutual trust. It's facing a conflict together and emerging on the other side with the safety and respect intact, proving the sanctuary is storm-proof. This is the culmination. It's not about making her need you in a fragile way. It's about you both individually, realizing that the partnership you've built is so uniquely enriching, so aligned with who you are at your best, that choosing it every day becomes the easiest, most rewarding decision you can make. The addiction isn't to a person, it's to the unparalleled quality of existence you create together. She can't walk away because walking away means abandoning a state of being, a state of safety, growth, and profound understanding that she may never find again. You haven't captured her. You've co-created a world that neither of you would ever want to leave. That is the power of speaking the right emotional language. That is the architecture of unshakable attachment.